Good morning. We're going to start a new series. I know we just got off with the faith series where I did some new teaching and I did some rebroadcasts. I felt this year mostly need to be about faith, to renew our faith, to get refreshed to faith. But as we renew our minds to faith, why faith, and all the different things we've talked about faith, I was going to do a simple study and it turns into another series, a series I'm calling Disciplined Mind. And our first part of this lesson is going to be sound mind. And I feel it's important that if we're going to walk in faith and proclaim our faith, we need to have a sound mind that is promised to us in Scripture. We can walk by faith, we can talk of faith, we can do all kinds of things, but if we don't have a sound mind, if we don't have and can stand on what the Word says, we're just throwing words out there that sound good. So I got three key scriptures in this section of the lesson, sound mind, that I want to start with. 2 Timothy 1:7, for God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, and of love, and of a sound mind. 2 Corinthians 10:5, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. And Romans 12:2, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. Our lives will equal our thought lives, good or bad. To improve our lives, we must improve our thought lives. How many times have we taken the thought that the devil throws at us? At the time of this broadcast, we had some issues at work, put me working by myself. And listen, we've got some ventilation problems, some other things that's being worked on. And the devil's just trying to get me to think, well, that room's dirty because it's your fault. It's your fault. Well, yeah, I'm working solo at the present time of this broadcast. But it's not. And he tried to get me back in the old mindset because of our previous administration of the way they were. And he was trying to get me back into that mindset because I'm tired. I was dreading work. I never looked forward to going in because at present, it's been 3 weeks solo, or 2.5 at least. And yeah, you get physically tired and you just dread going in there because you know what you're facing. But he was trying to get me back, trying to get me back in that mindset of dreading work, and I should quit, and I do this, and you should do that. I said, and I finally just had to say, shut up. I've got a good administration. I've got a good work environment. We've had mechanical issues, and it has nothing to do with anything I did. I said, I'm not going back to that old mindset. I am not going to live in that mindset no more. And he just ceased right then. When I stood my ground, I didn't give way to the thoughts that he was trying to bring onto me. So our lives will equal our thought lives, what we dwell on, what we ponder. Oh, they're talking about me. They looked at me. They when I walked by, they looked at me and laughed. Really? Maybe you happen to be walking by at the right time and it appeared that way. If you weren't in that area, they would have probably laughed and it had nothing to do with you either way. But insecurities in yourself, thoughts the devil tries to put into you, or the devil could try to make you feel insecure and give you wrong thoughts, and you ponder those. So yeah, our thought lives will equal, or I should say our lives will equal our thought lives, good or bad. So to improve our lives, we must improve our thoughts. And here's where you may think I'm about laying out the key scriptures. Now he laid out the key scriptures and he said all of that, and I'm going to work down each scripture. But no, I think we first need to know our enemy and where he likes to fight from. Our enemy and God's likes to fight in the thought arena. Right in here, right here, thought arena. He likes to work between your two ears. He has access to that arena on the left and the right side of your head. There are two great books by ministers that come to mind that I suggest they become part of your library. A Sound Disciplined Mind by Nancy Dufresne and The Battlefield of the Mind by Joyce Meyer. Because the enemy loves to play in your mind. Because the enemy is a flesh devil. What feels good to the flesh is what he wants you to think on. These thoughts are not just sensation, sensation or sensual. Those thoughts can make you feel or think of yourself more highly than you ought. He's not looking at sensationalism or just sensualism. He's looking at ways to make you, and why he is, according to the word, he's trying to make you feel more, make you feel higher than you ought. But see, he don't have a lot of tricks. The other trick he likes to use is what I've already mentioned. He wants you to think of yourself of less than you are. Are you thinking, well, why has he got the two different tricks? Because if he can't get a person to think more highly of themselves than they should, their success, all their victories and all their achievements was done by their effort. He's got a PhD and he's a renowned surgeon, or he's this great multi-millionaire businessman that can do this and that, and financial troubles is not a problem whatsoever. He don't have financial troubles. But those same people, if he can't get those rich people to think more highly of themselves than they ought, then he'll get them to think that all the money in the world that they have, the only reason people's friends with him is because he has it. If you didn't have all that money, you wouldn't have no friends. But he's going to take that same concept and turn it against the middle class and the poor. Or if you had more money, people would like you. You can't do anything. You're broke. You're poor and people are laughing at you. You don't have an education. Whatever he can use to get in. to that mental arena and play. And he's a patient devil. The devil and all his little demons, they're patient because they're eternal. It may take them 10, 15 years to break you down. They got time. 10, 15 years ain't nothing to them because they don't deal with years. They're eternal. They got time to mess with you. They will. They'll come back. That's why we said we got to know how to deal with them. We got to know our enemy. Romans 12:3 says, "For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith." So while the Word is telling us not to think more highly of himself than he ought, and we know it's true because first it's the Word, and two is we know the devil's just trying to get us right into that same pride he was in. But see, the Lord tells us how to do this, to be soberly, to think soberly. And to tell us that God has given us the measure of faith. So have you ever been in a conflict with someone and afterwards replayed it in your mind and said to yourself, I should have said this or I should have done that? Maybe you thought you were right and you just need to show them. I'm going to prove that I'm right. The enemy will give you thoughts. He will get you running on your mental treadmill, and now you're doing all the work and blaming him. Whoever your conflict partner is at the time, whoever you're having a fight with, co-worker, family member, neighbor, whoever your conflict partner is. Or he'll even, while you're on that mental treadmill, he'll even get you trying to say it's God's fault. But you're doing all the work. You're the one that keeps running. We got this, I don't know what kind of treadmill they got at the school, but they got like 3 different types, where they got 3 styles, and 2 of them is all about they're all about being propelled by power. You know, like a normal treadmill you go to the gym and use. And, excuse me. And they got another one that's self-propelled. And you can decide to run fast, you can decide to run slow, you can jog, you can do whatever you would normally do on the road. You don't got to hit buttons to adjust the speed. It's all based on you. It's just for low impact training. But it's the idea behind this is it's just your power. And it's what makes me, that makes me think of that mental treadmill, where the devil gets you on there and you start pondering what he has to say, and you let that get down in you, and then you just start rehearsing it, and you start running and running and running. It's all on your own speed, and you don't realize all you gotta do is just quit. You quit running, the treadmill's gonna stop. See, I'm not advocating for the enemy, nor am I suggesting that he is not behind the thoughts that trouble us. I've said it many times already. He is. He likes to be in that mental arena. I'm saying we need to understand the mind is Satan's chief battleground, and your greatest battle will be in the mind or mental arena. Satan attacks the mind to hold you captive. If you get this thing going and thinking, and you can think, he can get you thinking here. Oh, you should have said this, or you should have done that. Well, that might line up exactly with the argument. You're right. You get to thinking, you know what? I'm right. He was wrong. They were wrong. Da da da. And then just a little shift, a little bit more. And this isn't the devil. This is our own thoughts. Just next thing you know, you're mad at everybody for everything, and you don't know why. Your whole day is shot. I spent the whole day, and I'm just absolutely, I don't know. I'm wore out. I'm tired. I ain't done nothing but I've thought 100,000 things. I went around the world. I remember things when I was in the military. So I remember things when I was 1990, when I was stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and things that happened when I was in Germany. And I just da. You can't change those things. There's no sense of rehearsing them, remembering them, or dwelling on them. The people that offended you probably either don't know they offended you, or there's no way for you to even go back and say something to them. And if you could, they won't remember. You've wore yourself out on that mental treadmill, and the devil's taking a day away from you. But this mental arena, like I said, sometimes it's a simple distraction, thinking, well, I should have said this. Next thing you know, you're way out here. But sometimes they're simpler little things that are just a distraction. He'll distract you, get you thinking of your grocery list during worship service. The thought of the coworker that said something a week ago. Projects you have to get done next week. You're trying to make your to-do list in your head during worship, or during the sermon, and you miss half of what you miss. You miss this much of a sermon, and then you're trying to get. Then you spend the rest of the service trying to get caught up and trying to figure out what they're talking about. Whatever it takes to distract you. Then there are the battles: health, finances, your shortcomings. That the enemy, those are the things that the enemy uses to get you thinking that God somehow doesn't love you, or you can't be forgiven for that thing, whatever that thing is. If the enemy can hold you in this arena, you're whipped. So we're going to pick it up next week. I'm going to start with 2 Corinthians 10:5. But until then, remember, stay out of the middle arena, and you stay out of the devil's playground.